Chair now yields himself 5 minutes for questions. Mr. Stump, to the American people, this kind of feels like deja vu all over again. Some institution is found engaging in terrible activities. There's a headline, fine, and yet no one seems to be held accountable. I mean, let's face it, the fine that's been assessed to you is probably a rounding error, again, in your quarterly earnings report. So my question is, with almost perhaps as many as 2 million fraudulent accounts over the course of 5 years, 5,000 dismissed employees, it's just beyond credibility that somebody up the food chain didn't either order this, condone it, or turn a blind eye to it. So my question to you is, who is the highest ranking official at Wells? Who's the highest person in the management team who's been dismissed because of these activities?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that question. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but within the 5,300, there were managers and managers and managers of a manager. We are doing a full review.
But were these branch managers?
Yes, about 10% or more were.
And nobody above the branch manager level?
No, there was managers of the branch managers and a manager of those within the line of business. But we're doing a full review of other control functions within the company. That process has already begun. The board is going to be involved. Management will be involved. As I mentioned,
And when will this be complete? When will your own internal investigation be complete to hold management accountable?
Yeah, I can't give you a specific time frame, Mr. Chairman, but I will tell you we're moving on that directly, and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Okay, well, anybody at the bank holding company level being held accountable?
People will be reviewed across the board at holding company activities, corporate activities. Anybody who is involved in promoting or supporting this behavior will be held accountable.
Holding people accountable, isn't it true, Mr. Stump, in the settlement agreement that Wells entered into with the OCC, the CFPB, and the LA City Attorney's Office, no individual admits guilt. Is that correct? Is that part of that settlement agreement?
I believe we either did not admit or deny. So the facts there are the facts that we agreed to.
Mr. Stump, let's go back to 2011, which I think is the first year we know for a fact that these fraudulent activities were taking place. The records that I believe your bank has shared with us show that 939 employees were terminated from the retail banking sector for improper sales practice in that year. Does that comport with your memory?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So in 2011, isn't it true that Wells Fargo entered into a consent order with the Federal Reserve that required Wells to cease and desist from certain practices in the mortgage lending department, and that you paid an $85 million civil penalty? Is that true?
Mr. Chairman, that's true. That was in a different business area, but that is a true statement.
It's in a different business area, but I will read from the consent order. Quote, Wells Fargo's internal controls were not adequate to detect and prevent instances when certain of its sales personnel, in order to meet sales performance standards and receive incentive compensation, altered or falsified income documents and inflated prospective borrowers' incomes to qualify those borrowers for loans that they would not otherwise have been qualified to receive. This sounds eerily like the retail banking division. So also, as I understand it, the Fed required Wells Fargo to submit a plan to investigate and to change policies and procedures. So I think you testified on the Senate side that you were not personally aware of the problems in the retail banking division until 2013. Surely you were aware of the problems in the mortgage lending division in 2011, correct?
That is correct. And Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we shut that division down. That was even shut down.
But if you saw the problem in one area of the business, why didn't you thoroughly investigate in the other?
There's no question, Mr. Chairman, we should have done more sooner.
It just seems, Mr. Stump, that 5 years later, your bank is being fined for exactly the same transaction. And again, it just feels like deja vu all over again, and I hope and trust, but please tell me that these fines are not simply a cost of doing business for Wells.
Mr. Chairman, it's not a cost of doing business. This is a serious trust issue with our customer. But I also want to say there's 268,000 people who came to work this morning at Wells Fargo trying to do their very best to serve customers, and they do it wonderfully every day. And I don't want our culture to be defined by these mistakes, and we take accountability.
I understand that, Mr. Stunt, but it appears to be a little late, and particularly when you get caught doing it 5 years ago, you get caught doing it once again. Somebody has to be held accountable. I now yield to the ranking member.